producing the song.
Right, exactly. To me, it's just like, my partners, actually, I put the team together. And it's funny because just kind of like anything else, to me, it's like music found me. I don't know if I found music or, this place, like I found my partners or they found me. Whatever it was, I put the team together because these guys were like, hey, on one end, I'm like, hey, C's, have you ever thought of doing something, whatever? I'm like, what do you mean? Like, yeah, like your own spot or whatever. And I was like, I go, yeah, of course, whatever. But, since I'm so much into the music and producing and writing and DJing, like that to me was not an option, but it was a thought.
But your own spot to a lot of people would have been a place where somebody could go and juke.
Right.
And what you've done with the output is not necessarily where you go and juke.
Right. So this is where it came. So then this guy was talking about doing a club. This other guy's like trying to do also like a night spot or whatever. And two of my partners are actually they own restaurants. So they're like, what do you think of this? So then one of the ideas was basically this, and that's where it kind of the whole thing evolved. It's from like saying, you know what, we're in Chicago. House music is what you do. House music was is from here. Why isn't there a museum that people can go to and say, wow, this is this, whatever? So that's kind of where the idea comes from. So instead of doing like a nightclub straight in your face, we said, no, let's do a restaurant that's kind of like the Hard Rock Cafe. What it is to rock,
right?
Output is to house music. So we want to have, again, what I love to do is house music, you know what I mean? Produce it, write it, spin it. So to me, it's just like paying homage to these people, you know what I mean? So when people come here, they house music and Chicago South Side and CZR, that goes hand in hand. So by creating something like this, then people come and visit because they're gonna expect something house. So my partners are into house music as well, and they saw the vision. So like, let's incorporate this and whatever, and let's put it all together. And that's how it worked out. You know what I mean? We have Eddie. And I've actually known Eddie since I can't even remember. Like I grew up with him. He's also from Pilsen.
Poor guy, another success story. That's terrible.
We have John and Julio, which these guys, I met them like, I don't know, maybe like 5 years ago, something like that. And but level-headed people, you know what I'm saying? And going back to just staying positive, like I like to be around positive people, you know what I mean? And these guys have smart business sense. Are familiar with house music. They love house music, so they wanted to do something for that scene, for that style of music. You know what I mean? Just like, you have Buddy Guy.
Right.
He's got his blues spot, whatever. One of my partners like, yo, C's, you gotta have your spot like that. He's gotta be, I'm like, okay, let's do it, you know what I mean?
But it almost sounds like, or it looks like, because I've been here now a couple of times, where the idea is kind of still in its infancy, right? Because we took the grand tour. Maybe we'll shoot footage in a little while, and you'll be able to see it on YouTube, not on the radio. And you've got Farley Jackmaster Funk's turntable. You've got, I think Kenny Jason gave you a record or something like that. Malik from the Out Here Brothers did the same. Yeah. So there are pieces here and there, but it doesn't look like it's at that point of this is the destination. Look at all this stuff.
A lot of stuff, exactly. But we know exactly. So we're getting pieces all the time. We got Daft Punk send us something. Good friends of mine. Bill. So we have items that it focuses on the music. Like we have like you said, turntable from Farley. We have Green Velvet Cashmere. How you guys know him. He's going to give us a keyboard. So we have a lot of stuff that we have still that we even haven't put out yet. For the same reason, we're getting either casings done for them or whatever. So we're just still trying to like put it all together, whatever, you know what I mean? So.
It's going to be interesting because the new neighbors I know see you as a sports bar. And then people like me who have known you forever, we see it as a kind of nice hangout with some of our old friends.
Right.
And the whole aspect of the museum, and you even got a room that's kind of set up like a club. If you wanted to have like a little party, you could have a little party.
Exactly.
You've got something for everybody here.
Yeah, exactly. So we have multiple rooms and stuff that we can, and that's kind of how we put it together because, there is not one thing we were like really after because, we definitely have great food here. And I'm not just saying that. Trust me, come check it out.
Well, you know the chef, right?
Yeah, the chef. Yeah, exactly. For the most part, again, the music is part of this whole thing, sports bar. And again, going back to my partners, like Eddie's a big sports dude, you know what I mean? I never was, I was big sports, but I'm a fan of like basketball, and it probably has to do with, Michael Jordan, that really like triggered that whole thing. But I really like the game, you know what I mean? Not a big fan of baseball, although I played baseball when I was a teenager. But never was into sports like I was into music. So music to me is just like took over me, you know what I mean, or whatever. But all of our partners have a little bit of them in here, just like myself, you know what I mean, like the music part, he's got the sports part and then the restaurant part, you know what I mean, so a part. So it all comes together, and it's, I think it works together. People really, really enjoy being in here, hanging out here, whatever, you know what I mean? So they like the food as well. So
1758 West Grand Avenue, it's a nice area. I told you before, close to the United Center, close to these major cross sections of traffic, so you can't really get lost looking for the output. And the community has gotten to the point where you can come and go as you please, and there aren't going to be any issues. And there's some spots where you're kind of afraid to go to after certain hours. You don't have to do that with the output.
Yeah, no, here's very easy going. Again, the neighborhood actually welcomed us from day one, you know what I mean? And that was lovely because, going back to what you had said, I actually remember this area too.
Yeah, you reminded me of that. I forgot that you guys used to play at the Boys and Girls Club a block away where I used to be the program director, and it was Julian and Tim and Billy, and they used to bring all their buddies, and I forgot that you were one of the buddies.
Yeah.
I forgot that you guys used to play at the Boys and Girls Club a block away where I used to be the program director, and it was Julian and Tim and Billy, and they used to bring all their buddies, and I forgot that you were one of the buddies.
Yeah.
I remember Mike Dunn being there once, and he, I thought we were going to have to call an ambulance. So he's a big boy, and he wants to play basketball. And after one game, he actually laid out on the floor like, oh, man, I'm going to get in trouble now. It's midnight on a Tuesday, and Mike Dunn's knocked out. But fortunately, he did okay. Barry used to spend a lot of time playing ball with us over there. And you were one of them, too, so you were exposed to this neighborhood.
Yeah, exactly. So, we'd come here because of that. And then on Ashland, there's, was it Dukes, whatever people call it. I call it Ducks. But anyway, so, there's good burgers. I would go there and whatever, because I have friends used to live around there. I'm like, man, this neighborhood is pretty bad. I mean, and it was funny because I lived in a bad neighborhood. You know what I mean? So me calling this bad was like, weird. But anyway, so when you and I were talking a couple of weeks ago when you came over here, and you started telling me a little bit about history. I'm like, oh, that's right. You grew up here. Like you've been here. Or not grew up, but you've been here for like years. And I was like, wow, that's kind of weird because you did see it evolve into.
We saw it evolve from every ethnicity that there was a gang first, and then they either moved down or they were a gang first and then settled down, and now it's actually a community that a lot of us are even more prouder of. Exactly. We just worry sometimes that those of us who grew up in this area can't afford to stay in this area because it's changed so much, but fortunately for me, I'm still here. I know you're both getting tired, Adrian on the camera, and you behind the mic. Today coincides with the 21st anniversary of the House Festival picnic in Washington Park.
Yeah.
Alex Ortiz was going to be here to do the second interview with you for WRTE, which he's now with Rocky and Benji over at Washington Park. Wow, who would have thought that there was going to be a 21st anniversary picnic for house music.
Right.
And even with the first one having been in 1990, who would have thought that house music was going to carry over from the 90s and the 80s?
Right.
This movement just never stopped, did it?
Excuse me. Right. To me, let's talk about the evolution of house music. You know, some people, that lost touch with house music. Let's just say that because hip hop took over. House music just kept evolving, but just because it wasn't in the forefront here, because there was, whatever pop music is, that's what's gonna.
I was gonna say it wasn't in the forefront, Cesar, but everybody who was anybody wanted a house version to their songs.
Right.
So whenever they were going to put out a pop song, for instance, they would look for somebody. Billy was a lot of times the guy that did it.
Yeah, Steve Hurley.
And Steve Hurley, exactly. He did Michael Jackson remixes. So there would be house versions of Michael Jackson stuff. So everybody wanted house.
Yeah.
Maybe because Chicago had been there from the Frankie Knuckles days at the warehouse, that they just kind of either thought it was played out or wanted to move on to the next thing. But everybody else, they were living off this sound.
The world was listening.
You say Tyree in Germany, it's like saying Dick Clark.
Right.
It's crazy.
Right. So that whole house music phenomena, it just keeps evolving. You know what I mean? So then the thing is that you can't, there's people, because there's so many sides to house. You have your electro side, you have, your juke, you have, there's so many sides. Your deeper house, so all that stuff, it all is one though. It's still all house music, but people just have a certain sound that they go for, you know what I mean? So and that's cool too, because it's still helping with the overall evolution of it, you know what I mean? But yeah, it's come a long way, you know what I mean? And it's still going, you know what I mean? So there's a lot of great producers now,
From the days of Frankie Knuckles telling you that the DJs were going to take over the musical world to all these years later where it's actually come true, where the DJs are the artists.
Right.
Tony Moran is back out touring as an artist after doing DJing for so long. The Black Eyed Peas DJ is a lot of times more in the forefront than Fergie or will.i.am,
right,
because they're putting their guy out there. So whatever you guys have done to put the focus on DJs, you've struck a nerve, and it's pretty neat that you're able to do that.
Yeah, and I'm blessed to say that I'm doing my part. I mean, even if it's just DJing and pushing the music to crowds or audiences or whatever, I'm cool with that. I love that I produce and that DJs play my stuff, and to be relevant at any point is great. To stay relevant throughout is awesome. You know what I mean?
So in the off chance that there's a young buck out there, somebody who's your son's age, who says, I want to DJ and I want to be this producer, I've been inspired now to do all this, what kind of advice do you give them that maybe you wish you had, back then?
Back then? Wow.
Well, you seem to have gotten good advice because you did okay.
Yeah, right, thank you. I think, when it comes down to music, again, I do it for the love of it. You know what I mean? Kind of the same reference that you used. I'm going to use it again with Michael Jordan. Like, you wouldn't have to pay me to do what I do. Like, right. I'd love to do it. You know what I mean? So if you have that kind of love for it, keep that always in the forefront, I say. You know what I mean? Let's go to the technology part of it. It's so much easier to produce now, so much easier to DJ. There's so many other things. There's a lot of purists out there. For me, like I've spun vinyl since I can remember. Then I stopped using vinyl because then CDs came into play.
Right.
But I didn't go into it right away. Is when the CDJs came about, where you can actually use the CD player, manipulate them like a turntable. Then I'm like, okay, I'll try them now. Went to that. Now there's this thing called Serato and Torque.
I've seen that.
So these this technology to me, like I want to be a part of it too, because it's really cool. So there's a lot of purists out there that are gonna say, oh no, vinyl is where it's at and whatever. It is. Vinyl is great, but it's just like saying, you know what? Then put your cell phone down and go back to a pager.
Yeah, get a rotary phone.
Get a rotary phone. You have to evolve with the music. You have to with the times, technology, whatever. So always embrace technology is how I say it. So there's a lot of people that are gonna downplay it. The purists. You know what I mean? And I'm one of a purist of vinyl, but I can be